The generation that learned early how to fend for itself is the same generation now trying to protect its children from insecurities it never forgot. And honestly, that explains almost everything about how Gen X parents relate to money. It starts with a memory, not a dramatic one, but a quiet one. The feeling of coming home to an empty house after school. The weight of a key on a string around your neck. You were 10, maybe 11. You knew how to make your own snack, to start your homework without being told, to not answer the door. Your parents were working, always working. There was no talk of allowances tied to chores. The chore was understanding that no one was coming to solve it for you. Money was a topic overheard in worried tones after bedtime. It was the sound of a calculator buttons being pressed at the kitchen table, late. It was the phrase, "We can't afford that," stated as a simple, hard fact, not a negotiation. This was the first financial lesson. Autonomy is not a privilege, it's a necessity. You saw your parents juggle bills, saw the tension in their shoulders during recessions. Stability wasn't a given. It was something fragile, constantly under threat. So you learned to watch. You learned to be useful. You got a job the second you could, not for spending money, but for the solid feeling of not having to ask. Your financial education wasn't about stocks or savings accounts. It was about watching a system that seemed to barely hold and deciding you would never fully rely on it. That childhood observer is now a parent, and when they look at their own child, they see two things at once. They see the child they want to protect, to give a softer landing, and they see the ghost of that kid with the house key who learned the world doesn't wait for you. This duality lives in their chest every day, so their psychology with money forms in this gap between the memory of insecurity and the desire for their child's security. It makes them the parent who insists on a savings account for their teenager's first job money, even if the teen just wants sneakers. It's not about control. It's about installing a backup system they never had. It's the parent who feels a physical knot in their stomach when their child talks about a fun career with an uncertain income. The fear isn't snobbery. It's the deep cellular knowledge of what happens when the money runs out. There's no safety net in their memory to make them feel otherwise. This creates a specific kind of exhaustion. It's the fatigue of perpetual vigilance. They are managing a present household, planning for a future that feels unstable, and often sending money back to their own aging parents. They are the middle, bearing weight from both sides. The voice in their head, forged in the 80s and 90s, never stops whispering, "Don't get comfortable. It could all change." If you recognize this feeling, that constant low hum of financial alertness, you're not alone. Many of us who grew up then are navigating parenthood with this same blueprint. Share a memory in the comments below about your first money lesson, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. We talk about these hidden psychological scripts every week. So the Gen X parent pays the mortgage, helps with college tuition, but might hesitate before buying the expensive brand of cereal. It seems contradictory, but it isn't. The cereal isn't about money, it's about principle. It's about resisting the comfort they distrust. Every unnecessary purchase feels like a tiny step toward forgetting the lesson that the ground can always shift. And their job, as they see it, is to stand firm on that shifting ground, so their child doesn't have to feel it move. For the Gen X parent, financial security isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a state you perform, daily. You achieve a stable job, a decent savings account, maybe even own a home. But the mind forged in uncertainty doesn't clock out. There's no moment where they sit back, exhale, and think, "We made it." Instead, they think, "Okay, what's next?" This is the psychology of the sandwich generation. But that term feels too clean. It's not just being between two generations. It's being the load-bearing wall for both. Their own parents are retiring, often with pensions that didn't keep up or savings that are shrinking. So there are phone calls, quiet conversations about prescription costs, about a roof repair. The Gen X parent listens, does the mental math of their own budget, and says, "We'll figure it out." They send money, not as a gift, but as a silent duty. It's the repayment of a different kind of debt, the debt for parents who work themselves raw to provide that fragile stability they remember. At the same time, their children are coming of age in a world that feels even more economically treacherous. College tuition is a mountain, the housing market is a cliff, the gig economy offers freedom, but no blueprint. So the Gen X parent wants to help. They want to be the safety net they imagined. They pay for tutoring, help with a car down payment, let their adult child live at home while they save. But here is where the internal conflict becomes a physical tension. Because every act of help brushes against that old, hard lesson: you have to learn to do it yourself. They see their child facing a challenge, and two instincts war inside them. The first is to rush in, to buffer, to protect. The second is a deep, almost fearful belief that if they buffer too much, they will cripple their child. They will create someone who doesn't know how to stand on shifting ground. This leads to what their children might see as mixed signals. A father might transfer money for rent one month, then give a stern lecture about financial responsibility the next. A mother might buy her daughter expensive professional clothes for job interviews, but question a $20 streaming subscription. It feels confusing, but from the parent's perspective, it's perfectly logical. The rent money is the protection from an insecurity they know. The lecture is the inoculation against long-term dependency. The interview clothes are an investment in autonomy. The streaming service is a test of discipline. They are trying to build a new model, one that offers both support and resilience. But they are building it while flying the plane. There's no manual for this. Only the memory of what it felt like to have no backup and the fierce determination that their child will have one, but not become reliant on it. The exhaustion here is specific. It's the exhaustion of emotional calculus. Every financial decision is run through a filter of past trauma, present responsibility, and future fear. Can I afford this? Is followed by, should I afford this? And what does paying for this teach? And if I pay for this, what won't I be able to handle later? It's a constant, quiet negotiation between the heart and the hard-won lessons of a lifetime. The bank account might be stable, but the mind is always auditing. For many Gen X parents, money is rarely just money. It is a language, a way to express care, to instill values, to telegraph warnings, all without having to say the vulnerable thing out loud. This is where the psychology gets visible, in the daily choices that can seem baffling to anyone who didn't live through their formative years. Take the car in the driveway. It's reliable, safe, and paid off. It has been for years. The paint is dull. The interior holds the faint smell of old coffee and soccer gear. A newer, flashier model is well within their budget, but they don't buy it. This isn't about frugality. It's about identity. That car represents a victory. A thing owned, free, and clear. A bulwark against repossession, against the shame of a loan they couldn't handle. To trade it in for something shiny feels like a betrayal of the principle that got them here. It feels like forgetting. So they drive it, and the wear on the seats is a comfort, a reminder of a promise they made to themselves decades ago. I will not be caught off guard. Or observe the holiday gathering. They will spend without hesitation on the meal, on gifts for the grandchildren, but they will reuse wrapping paper, they will carefully store the leftovers, they will, after everyone has gone to bed, turn off lights in empty rooms. These are not acts of stinginess, they are rituals of vigilance. Each saved piece of foil is a tiny defiance against waste, against the scarcity that once haunted their parents' home. It's a quiet prayer for continued abundance. This language creates its own contradictions. They might stress about the cost of a family vacation, calculating every meal, but then insist on picking up the entire check at a restaurant for their adult child. The vacation is a luxury, a variable in the budget that triggers their alert system. The restaurant check is a statement. It says, I can provide this. For you, I am stable. It is an act of love, translated directly into currency. Their discomfort with their children's spending often stems from this translation gap. A son buys a high-end coffee machine. The parent sees a large, risky outlay for a non-essential. They see debt or savings not growing. The child sees a daily pleasure, a quality-of-life upgrade. The parent isn't judging the desire for pleasure. They are reacting to the specter of instability that, in their mind, is linked to all non-essential spending. The coffee machine isn't an appliance. It's a symbol of a mindset they fear, a mindset that believes good times are permanent. This is why financial conversations can grow tense so quickly. It's rarely about the number in the bank account. It's about the lifetime of meaning behind that number. A simple suggestion like, you should relax and enjoy your money can feel like a foreign language. To relax is to lower the guard. And the guard has been up since they were 12, holding that house key. They speak the language of scarcity fluently, even in a season of plenty. Every financial choice is a sentence in that language, telling a story about the past and a warning about the future. The problem is, their children are reading a different book. There is a clock in the mind of a Gen X parent. It doesn't tick down to a birthday or a holiday. It ticks toward an undefined point of enough. The target is always moving. Enough for the kids' education. Enough for their own retirement, which they imagine happening later than their parents. Enough to potentially care for their parents. Enough for an emergency that lasts 6 months. No, a year. The goalpost of security is perpetually receding over the horizon. This is why they can't relax, even when logic says they should. They've crossed thresholds that their younger selves would have seen as monumental success. But the feeling of arrival never comes. The psychology is one of accumulation as defense. Every dollar saved is a brick in a wall against a future they can't predict. The 2008 financial crisis wasn't a news story to them. It was a visceral lesson. They saw retirement accounts evaporate, neighbors lose homes, secure jobs vanish overnight. It confirmed their deepest childhood belief. The system is not your friend. Trust only what you have built yourself. And even then, be ready. So, they are the parents who max out their 401k contributions but feel guilty buying a new sofa. The sofa is a present object, a comfort that decays. The 401k is a future promise, a lever against chaos. They lie awake sometimes running numbers, not out of greed but out of a need to map the minefield of the next 20 years. What if healthcare costs triple? What if their child needs help with a down payment? What if their parent needs assisted living? The math is heavy and it's done in the dark, alone. This constant forward projection creates a specific kind of emotional distance. A teenager asks for money to go to the movies with friends. The parent says yes, but there's a hesitation. In that split second, they aren't thinking about $15. They are thinking about compound interest. They are mentally moving that $15 from a leisure column to a college textbook column 48 months from now. The child sees a simple request. The parent sees a complex equation with variables stretching years into the future. The yes can feel strained, not because they don't want to give, but because every outflow is weighed against a shadowy, multiplying future need. They are trying to solve for a variable they can't name, X, the unknown disaster. This is the core of their financial vigilance. It's not that they don't believe in joy or present moments, it's that they believe in the wolf at the door. A wolf they've seen before. Their spending paralysis, their difficulty enjoying windfalls, their need for multiple income streams. It's all a life spent building a bunker for a storm they are sure is coming. The tragedy and the fatigue lies in the fact that the storm might not come. They might build the perfect bunker and live in it under clear skies, but they can't risk believing the skies will stay clear. The memory of rain is too loud, so the clock ticks, the numbers are run, and the wall gets higher, brick by careful brick. The goal isn't wealth, it's a fortress. And a fortress, by definition, isn't a place you relax. It's a place you stand watch. So, what is the legacy of this cycle? It's not just a pile of cautious savings or a used car kept for too long. It's something more human and more fragile. The Gen X parent is attempting a nearly impossible architectural feat. They are trying to build a bridge between two worlds. From the world of, figure it out yourself, to a world of, I've got your back. They are the translators. They have to take their own hard-earned, distrustful financial language and translate it into something that offers both security and freedom for their children. This is the source of their deepest contradictions. The push and pull. The help given with one hand and the lesson imposed with the other. They are not confused. They are calibrating. They see their role not as a banker, but as a coach for a game they know is rigged. They want their child to know the rules are unfair, to be tough, to have a backup plan, but they also want to soften the blows. This is the tightrope. Offer too much cushion, and the child never develops their own balance. Offer too little, and you repeat the emotional isolation you knew. Every financial interaction is an attempt to walk that line. This is why the most meaningful moments often aren't about large sums. It's a mother teaching her daughter how to negotiate a salary, her voice firm, passing on a skill she had to learn the hard way. It's a father quietly adding his son as an authorized user on a credit card when he moves out, a silent safety net without a word spoken. These are the bricks in the new bridge. They are passing on the tools of autonomy, wrapped in a layer of support they never received. The exhaustion they carry is the exhaustion of a builder. They are maintaining the old structure, their parents' world, their own ingrained defenses, while constructing a new one for the next generation. They are perpetually on the job site. There is no off switch for a mindset forged in self-reliance. But, in that relentless work, there is a profound, if quiet, hope. The hope is that their children will inherit the resilience without the constant fear, the practicality without the paranoia, the ability to stand on shifting ground, but with the confidence that they won't have to stand there alone. The Gen X parent may never fully trust the world's stability, but they are desperately trying to become a stable world for someone else. Their psychology with money, then, is ultimately a story of translation, of taking the harsh lessons of independence and trying to speak them in the gentler dialect of support. It's messy, it's tiring, it doesn't always make sense, but at its core, it's an act of love, written in budgets, saved receipts, and cautious plans. A love that remembers what it was like to be without and fights every day to ensure that memory isn't the only inheritance. If this look into the silent calculations of a generation resonates with you, we explore these hidden stories often. Subscribing to the channel helps you find them, and hitting that notification bell means you won't miss the next conversation. Thanks for listening.